running never did much good. Hiding doesn't last forever. You can't run faster when it's you you're running from. So you throw your hands up like doves to the setting sun. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil. You'll find the mysteries enthralling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation. Heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0. Today, we're going to be doing step 7, orange, develop new core beliefs and male-female balance. Step 7 is designed for those who wish to find quantum balance, bypass the gender stereotypes, and incorporate the best traits into our own unique way of knowing and being. It challenges us to overcome self-limiting beliefs so we can create more peace, abundance, and self-acceptance in our lives. Be sure to also check out the corresponding video tutorial. My students today are Don Rogers, Canadian Spinja, and Ray. You can check out their channel as well as my own, and their links will be in the description below along with mine. Hi guys, how you doing today?
Great, thank you.
Good. Thanks for having us again.
Good. Now, before we get started on step 7, I'm wondering if you have any questions or anything you want to add from last week's lesson. Anything come up for you this week?
No, like I had mentioned before, I'm constantly finding myself using the multi-perspective and the nubby ball technique. And I'm noticing how often I do it. Like it's almost daily now, because like this person will message me for a show and the time won't work out. And it's like, I'm going to freak out about it. And it's like, no, why? Because then we can just do it this way. Right. And it's really just becoming a very subtle change in basically my day-to-day thinking. Why am I going to react like that? Because then at this end, I'm going to be an asshole. Right. I'm going to do this instead. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot express my appreciation for that technique.
I think we both feel the same way about it. Like before Dawn was introduced to it, I had watched the videos. Like I started watching version 2.0 before any of this happened, and I was so excited because and I know I mentioned this before, you have given us a gift. It's a way to visually express what's going on in here, and it's been helpful with communicating, but it's also been helpful as a way stuff happens. It always happens. So it's a tool where you can take a step back and look at the different steps rather than get overwhelmed and feel powerless. It helps you expand the possibilities and look at things from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. It gives you more choices on how you want to view things and how you want to react. So last week's lesson was more about self-soothing, and I'm wondering if you had any problems or questions around that before we get started on today's lesson.
You had mentioned the taking a few minutes, and it's something Spin did the one day, and like noticeably came out of the shower, and she's like, that was absolutely wonderful, because like I get up and help make her lunch and stuff while she goes and has a shower. I guess she took the time for self massage and that moment of peace, and she came out and she's like, that was a completely different version of a shower almost.
Oh, good, 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 good. Okay.
Kind of the same with me. Like you were saying about stretching, like when you first wake up in the morning, and I like started doing that, and I just felt more energized throughout the day.
Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, I mean, as I hopefully mentioned before, baby steps. Nobody reviews the lesson and then perfectly puts into place all the different aspects of it. It takes time. Even if you just include a couple aspects, feel the benefit, get on with the next lesson. When you're all done the lessons, step 9 through to step 1, then you go back and you look at 9 again and you see it from a whole new perspective. So good for you. Thank you for putting that into action. So I'm just going to the screen share now, and we'll start off with just an overview of the whole program. I won't really go over it, but those of you who are listening to this on an audio podcast, you might want to come over and watch the visual, because it's got a lot of information you might be missing in an audio only format. And you can also pause the video at any point to go over the point again, or to take a look at the whole program. You can just pause it and have a look and ponder how you want to proceed with the program. And so Quantum Health Transformation is a new health paradigm. It was written by myself, and this is version 3.0 advanced training for healers and alternative health practitioners. Step 7 orange, develop new core beliefs in male-female energy balance. So last week we started getting into core beliefs and a little bit about core belief systems. We're going to basically pick up from where we left off, and then we'll get into the male and female energy balance. I want to welcome all the listeners and the viewers to the show, and let you know that this PDF primer is meant to accompany the corresponding live recorded video tutorial. I know it says workshop, but it's the video tutorial. So there's basically 2 videos for each step. One is the live workshop, like what we're doing today. And then there's also a live video tutorial where I just go over the program and it's with its basic elements. So look for the same name as this video, and look for the video tutorial. And both the primer and the live version 3.0 workshops will be presented in descending number order when published to YouTube and my website. So start with step 9, and then do step 8, and then 7, and work your way down to do step 1 last. And just a reminder, all information presented in any Quantum Health Transformation media was received in a download and was channeled from the Living Library, also known as the Akashic Records. And this material was downstepped and developed through the filter of my own life experience. So I'm not claiming to be an expert or a mathematician or a scientist. I am simply a seeker of knowledge and wisdom. And the Quantum Health Transformation Program is ideal for those who are awakening and for those who are experiencing ascension symptoms. But the content is beneficial to everyone who wishes to experience a better quality of life. So if you haven't done so already, please do go back and review step 9. We'll start with the orientation and then do step 9, step 8, and then come back to step 7 and do it again too. And also you may want to share this with anyone else that you think would find it valuable. And this system of quantum health transformation works well for me. However, you must synthesize this information and take only that which serves you. And at the very least, it is my hope that from this material, you will be stimulated to seek your own inner wisdom. And further, I want to mention that any part of the Quantum Health Transformation Original, version 2.0 or version 3.0 series can be copied and shared for free under the Fair Use Clause, as long as credit is given to myself, Karen Holton. Thank you. And one other thing, please help support my work by purchasing or asking your clients and your customers to purchase PDF copies of this presentation from my website shop. So there's two video tutorials, the tutorial and the workshop. But if you'd like to actually have the PDF, I highly recommend it. It's got all the links embedded, so you just click on everything that's blue and it'll take you directly to the reference material that's provided, or the links to my shop, or wherever, my website, wherever you need to go for that page. And I'm charging $3.99 Canadian, and it's just a little bit to help me cover some of my expenses that occur as I produce this material. And then one other thing is I would like to read a disclaimer, just so that everybody has a clear understanding, and so that my video stays uploaded to the various podcast platforms and isn't taken down. So I'll just quickly read this. This PDF and the information on our website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, is presented as is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for the diagnosis, treatment, or advice of a qualified licensed medical professional. The facts presented in this presentation or on the website are offered as information only, not medical advice, and in no way should anyone infer that we are practicing medicine. Seek the advice of a medical professional for proper application of this material to any specific situation. No statement here or on the website has been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the CFIA, the Department of Health Canada, or any other regulatory authority. Any product mentioned or described in this presentation or website is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We recommend that you do your own independent research before purchasing anything. So with that out of the way, for those of you on audio, there's an image here that says, I'm starting over. A new pattern of thoughts, a new wave of emotions, a new connection to the world, a new belief system in myself. In Quantum Health Transformation Step 8, I suggested ways to acquire some new core belief systems. And if you haven't done so already, please go back and watch Quantum Health Transformation Step 8, Red, Grounding and Core Belief Systems, both the primer and live videos, before you begin Step 7. Once you have considered this information and have done the recommended exercises, you will be well on your way to loving yourself unconditionally. You are now ready to further develop your new core beliefs. Remember to make use of daily reminder emails from Mike Dooley's Messages from the Universe and quotes from Abraham Hicks. There are many inspiring people and groups easily found online who are here to assist you to believe in yourself and in your ability to succeed. These sources will provide plenty of inspiration to help you to become the true you, a more healthful, happy being. In other words, free your mind. Dawn and Spinja Ray, do you have anything you wanted to say before we dive in?
I just find it really interesting that you mentioned Mike Dooley and Notes from the Universe, because I actually have the book, and this is what I mean. I've been on this journey for a very long time, and you are filling in the gaps. Like this is amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I like Mike Dooley. I get the messages from the universe every day, and I get an email, And it just tells me reminds me how powerful I am and how I'm right on course and how everything I want is coming to me. It's really helped me a lot. And then, of course, I also subscribe and get daily emails from Abraham Hicks. And I find that just, it's just very, very inspiring. So, okay, we'll dive in. We'll start with some history. Since the 1990s, we have been inundated with postmodern thought, which tears down Since the 1990s, we have been inundated with postmodern thought, which tears down obsolete and destructive ways of thinking. This gave rise to a very critical analysis of society called deconstructionism. Although it had its place, the flaw in this type of analysis is that it's anti-productive to positive creativity and growth. One can spend so much time going down one rabbit hole of analysis after another that the joy of being creative beings is forgotten. So I don't know about you folks, but I've been down lots of rabbit holes, and on social media and alt media, there's lots and lots of rabbit holes to go down. And after a while, it can be quite depressing and quite gloomy. And, I often have to remind myself that I'm a creative being and bring myself back to that joy, because so much of it is just kind of negative. But at the same time, it needed to happen so that we could deconstruct the society we're born into and have a better understanding that it's flawed and it is indeed a construct. So this leads to much unhappiness. And once we shift from what's wrong with the world and we focus on what's healthy and worthwhile, everything changes. Take back your creative power and realize that you are the change you wish to see in the world. So nobody's coming to save us. I know there's lots of people who think ET is going to come and save us, or this or that spiritual being is going to come save us, and that, we don't have to do anything. But really, we need to put ourselves at the center of our own power and our own creative ability and become the change we want to see. So there's an image here that says, do not believe everything you think, and things will be okay. Let's face it, things are what they are. The Nubby Ball tool will help you to see that there is a brighter side to it all. At first, it may take some discipline, but you will get good at finding a grateful place in your mind and heart. Then you'll be ready to get on with creating a whole new way of being. Change yourself and you change the world. And it's definitely time for a new peaceful era. So you folks already expressed that you've been using the whole Nubby Ball and you've been able to find different perspectives. And it's helped you to make some shifts, which I'm very, very happy to hear about. So I have some more advice. Keep dreaming. Desire peace and harmony. Learn to mind your own business. Focus on yourself. Turn your negative attributes into positive ones. Challenge yourself. Discover your inner guru who will not police your every thought, intention, and action, but will lovingly guide you and reveal your own attitudes that may be holding you back. Become your own compassionate observer. Be patient with yourself. Frequently reward your successes. So some of us can be really hard on ourselves, but our inner guru will not police us the way our conscious mind tends to want to do. It will just reveal to us things that maybe we want to change within ourselves. And it takes practice. And, it's kind of like failing forward. You try to do better. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but you just keep trying. So being patient with yourself is really important. And so is rewarding your successes, recognizing your successes, no matter how small they are, and rewarding yourself. Got two images on this page for those of you who are listening on the audio. One says you must unlearn what you have learned. And the other one says the only thing limiting us in life is our belief that there are limits. So now it's time to consider male-female energy balance. Similar to light shadow work, Male-female balance gives you more awareness and power to achieve your goals. This will not change who you are, as both energies and qualities exist within us, whether we realize it or not. Keep your preferred gender flair if you like, because androgyny is not the goal. Start by writing down 2 lists. One list with the attributes you consider to be female, and another list for those traits you consider to be male. And you'll find positive and negative things on both lists because everything casts a shadow. So for myself, I mean, I was, raised, I was born into the 1950s, so I may have been raised a little different than some of you out there. But it really helped me a lot to write down lists of all the traits that I thought were feminine or female, and all the traits that I thought were male. And I could see that some of the traits that were on my female list, I didn't want to have. And besides, it's debatable whether those are truly female traits at all. And the same went for the male one. And I thought, well, there's some things on the male list that I want to have. Like, for instance, I wanted to be bolder and I wanted to be more outspoken, but I was taught that, girls had to be quiet and sit with their knees together and that sort of thing. I was taught that men had to be larger in frame than women, and women had to have good figures. Well, no, that doesn't have anything to do with reality and what it means to be a man or a woman. And so I realized that I could throw out some traits that had been sort of brainwashed into me believing I had to have about myself, and take on some different traits that I was taught were not within my realm of possibility because I was born with the wrong equipment. So do you folks have any thoughts about that?
I just wanted to say quick, I think that's something on a fundamental level that we're instilling in Ray, because Spin and I are basically interchangeable. Like, just as an example, today she made the bread, on Friday I made the bread, and it's something that I think has carried over to him, even with the assignment gender basically to duties in the household. He loves to bake, which is absolutely phenomenal for a 16-year-old boy.
I'm going to say, like, for me, red flags started going off when I was a kid, because I noticed that my father showed my brother how to fix his bike. And it's like, okay, why aren't you showing me?
Yeah.
We know the answer to that, but and rather than just roll over and accept it, it's like, okay, you're not going to show me, then I'm going to figure it out. And I looked, over, different examples, like my mom, like with all due respect to her, because she didn't know any different. I looked at how in some spots in her life, she was helpless. Yes. She had to rely on my father because she didn't know how to do something, but she also didn't know it was okay to ask how to do something either.
Exactly.
And the other with Ray, like, like what Dawn mentioned about him liking baking. So I think it's come up. Like, I was a single mom for the first 10 years of his life. And so I felt a responsibility to show him both roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I showed him how to bake and I showed him how to cook, but I also took him to every car show that I could.
Yes.
And took him to, like different places. And so but I also took him to my art school as well. So I'd like to think that I tried to help him find the balance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I grew up, women had to do all the domestic chores. And, every time we had a get together, the women prepared all the food, served the food, had to do all the cleanup while the guys just sat around and shot the shit in the living room. And, but they had to cut the grass. We weren't allowed to do any outside work, and they dealt with taking out the garbage. And it was very, very much divided. And it always bothered me, especially with how much work it is to put on a big dinner, and do all the cleanup afterwards. And you miss out on that nice visiting time. And so, yeah, so it's good I also raised my kids as a single parent. So I had to be the mom and the dad. And I tried to do the same, So, sorry, go ahead.
I had much younger parents, and I don't think they were done with their partying stage. So a lot of my childhood, and I'm not calling them neglectful in any way, was very unsupervised. And that actually allowed me the creative freedom to like hang out and learn things from my sister. Like Barbies were just as okay as GI Joes, right? And like it put me in a neutrality. Some people know I have 7 sisters.
Oh wow.
One biological and 5 step. So like I had to be in touch if I wanted anybody to talk to, because we grew up out in the country, right? If I wanted to talk to somebody, it was 7 in 1 chance it was going to be a girl. So you have to be relatable.
Yep, totally. So, but I still recommend people make the 2 lists, because it will expose sort of our programming, and question those lists and see if there's anything that you might consider not on your list that you might want to make part of your list, your own personal list. So now select the attributes which appeal to you from both lists and make a new list of qualities you wish to incorporate into your life and wish to strengthen. Choose to let go of any traits that no longer serve you. This is your life, and only you can decide how you want to be. Incorporate the desired traits into your affirmation and visualization program, and soon you will see the benefits of balancing male and female ways of being. So another thing you mentioned was the baking. I was taught that only women were allowed in the kitchen, only women could prepare food or bake. And it was a big shock to me when I found out some of the best bakers and chefs in the world were men. Like I had no idea of that before I got out into the world. So we are affected by our programming, and only by looking at it and analyzing it can we then say, well, wait a minute, I want to be like this and I want to be like that. Some women want to wear high heels and wear makeup, and other women, no way. It's like too uncomfortable and just too much bother, You can do it however you want to do it. So then this is also tied into left brain dominant people and right brain dominant people. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with male and female, and yet in some ways it also does. So left brain dominant people are likely to be more logical, analytical, and orderly. The left brain governs the right side of the body. Right brain dominant people are likely to be more creative, with spatial ability, artistic, and musical skills. The right brain governs the left side of the body. Female energy also governs the left side of the body, and male energy governs the right. Female and male energy is called yin and yang. Although the yin-yang symbol appears to be binary, it's actually spinning fast enough to blend both sides into one. A balance is vital for health, as recognized for many centuries by many Asian cultures. Find your balance energetically and mentally to increase your personal power. Whether you are biologically male or female, and you spend more time being logical, analytical, and orderly, try spending more time with your feminine energy by pursuing creative activities and worry less about order and control. So, even though we're often, told that men are more logical, analytical, and orderly, no, not always. And there's nothing wrong with those of us who are more creative to try to be more orderly and spend a little bit more time with those traits. Just helps to broaden our skills and our way of being. If you're comfortable with disorder and spend a lot of time being more creative, artistic, or musical, try spending more time with your masculine energies by pursuing order, logic, and research. The left side of your body, which is governed by your right brain, governs spirituality and intuition. But this may not be totally useful without the balance of analysis, logic, and reasoning from the right side of our body or left brain. The goal here is balance and, of course, comfort with self as we chart our own course in life. So I have another term for this is anal expulsive and anal retentive. So people that have a strong need for order, like some OCD people, and everything has to be lined up a certain way, that's being anal retentive. And anal expulsive is people who just, their lives look like they're a big mess. Their housekeeping is not there, things are messy as heck, but they're often more relaxed and easier to be around. So, I mean, neither one is good, but in itself, but what we want to do is try to exercise both traits because there's a time and a place for everything. Do you have something you want to say about that, Dawn and Spinja or Ray?
One of the things I noticed, like with my journey, is that I was like, how I was raised was leaning more towards the left brain, organizing, strict. And I mean, it did serve me well, but I felt like something was missing. Mm-hmm. And so then life happened and I found myself in a place where I needed to make some choices. So I decided to take the fiber arts program of Fleming in Halton, Ontario. And with that, I really stepped outside of the box. Like it was all things that I was interested in, but they kept on saying, like, you're an artist. And what? How? And it really exposed to me how linear my thinking was. Mm-hmm. And so that's where this fiber arts program challenged and ultimately ended up breaking it. And it helped me find the balance. And I guess where I'm going with this is, like, if you feel like there is something missing, then it's worth looking for the balance. Like maybe maybe you are thinking a little too linearly, and and that leads to limited thinking, which puts you in a box.
Yeah. So self-limiting thinking.
Yeah, and so I guess my message here is go for it. Ask yourself questions, explore both sides, because both the left brain and right brain ways of thinking, if you can combine them, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Just on a personal note, that actually leads in perfectly to what I was going to say, is something I've done since my spiritual awakening is taking up the practice of meditation. And one of the visualizations I like to use is I saw a picture on the internet of a brain that is lit up in purple and blue electric light. I'll visualize that while I'm in a deep state of meditation. And what I try to do is visualize points of electricity going between my left and right hemisphere and how quickly I can get it through my pineal gland. And it might not work for everybody, take it or leave it, but I find like myself more activated and aware mentally when I do that meditation throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. So far in step 7, we've looked at ways to develop new core beliefs and male-female energy balance. But as society changes at a rapid pace, I feel the need to offer some explanations about the growing trend toward gender diversity. The next section is not about gender politics, and the information is presented as I understand it from my academic studies and life experience. Further, all the information is in relation to adult health and adult ways of being. So I'm not addressing the child so-called transgender thing here, not at all. That's beyond the scope of this, and I'm not going to get involved in gender politics. So it's about adult health and adult ways of being from both biological and social perspectives. I neither approve nor disapprove of any of the ways that people wish to present or express themselves. And I also want to add here from my own personal experience, I took gender studies at college, and also it was part of my training as a social worker at university. And I also have always had friends that were part of the transgender paradigm. Even back in the 70s, I met a young man and we became friends. And one day he pulls out his wallet, and they used to have wallets with all the pictures. This is before cell phones, and all these pictures fell, that were attached, that fell, this big cascade of pictures. And he showed me a picture of himself as a female nurse and all the kids he'd had. And I was quite surprised. I was not put off at all, but I was quite surprised. And he told me about his story. And then he ended up meeting a woman who was born a biological man, and they ended up falling in love and getting married. And I just thought it was very interesting. And I've also coached adults who have gone from the point where they felt there was a misfit between their minds and their souls and their bodies, and have given them support throughout their transition. So I do have quite a lot of experience. I'm not going to get too much into it today, but I do have quite a lot of experience with people that are considered transgender. That's given me the insight to help produce this information. So the physical biology of the sexes. All humans are one species. We are the human race. You hear all kinds of talk about this race and that race, depending on what shade of brown or lack thereof we are. But the truth of the matter is we're all brothers and sisters. We're all part of the human race. And it sure makes life a lot simpler to recognize that fact. I'm not saying there haven't been differences in socialization and in social treatment of people, but we are one human race. And interestingly, we're gender neutral at conception. Only when specific hormones are made available or not available in utero are the external or internal genitalia determined, which we designate as male and female. So XX chromosomes equals female and XY chromosomes makes you a male. However, when specific hormones are over or undersupplied, a person with XX, which we would consider female, chromosomes could be born with external genitalia. So they could end up being born appearing as a male. And sometimes people who are XY, which means they have male chromosomes, they're actually born with internal genitalia. So they're born with the appearance of being female. So it used to be that whatever you were born with, that's what went on your birth certificate as being whether you were a male or a female. But actually, especially from people being in sports, they have found out that this doesn't necessarily match. Someone could actually be what we would consider the opposite sex. And that's due to it's a very complex process where certain hormones and chemicals need to be present in order for people to have a match between the chromosomes and the way their genitalia is displayed. So genitalia are necessary, but they have little bearing on our personality, character, thinking, or way of being. It might surprise you to know that most of what we describe as typically male or female behavior and ability is culturally conditioned and is often dictated by the fancy of the ruling class. So what's considered feminine attributes or masculine attributes, that's all constructed. It has very little bearing to do with what we actually are. And it doesn't make you a good person or a bad person if you identify as your biological sex or something else. That's a whole different thing. And people, I feel personally, put too much emphasis on it. And again, I'm talking about the adult context here. When we realize that our socialization is no longer of benefit to us, it begins to disintegrate, revealing our true nature and authentic selves. So we may wake up one day and just go, you know what? I want to, I don't know, I mean, you might be a guy and you want to wear makeup or you want to experiment with makeup. That doesn't make you transgender. That doesn't make you gay. That doesn't have anything really to do with anything. It's just something you want to experiment with in your own realm, in your own life, and you have every right and opportunity to do so. So we soon realize that we're part of a gender continuum, and we have both male and female qualities regardless of our DNA or the position of our genitalia. Do you folks have anything you want to add to that?
Just to share personally, I really appreciate that information, especially right now. I recently had I just went back to social media. I had an interaction with a friend who is like a father and a friend, a great musician. Just nobody bothered to tell me he had decided he was now a woman. So I got a friend request from a female, and I have no interest in a female if I don't really know who you are. And then it was about a week after I realized, oh, Claire is Harley. And, you know, I completely understand what the point of what you were saying, though, because my friend just went through this.
Yeah.
Right. He was a man. He obviously felt more comfortable as a woman. His partners accepted them. They're still raising a wonderful child together. And it was just, this is the way things are now. A heads up about the whole procedure would have been nice, but besides that.
It is a surprise because you get used to somebody being a certain way, and then we have to override that and start seeing them as a different way. But I don't, it's not unsurmountable. It's actually not that difficult to wrap your head around it. And the other thing too is there's a phenomenon that I call the panty police, that people where they got to know what's in your pants. It's nobody's damn business what's in your pants.
Right?
It's nobody's damn business, And again, that gets back to all of the quantum health transformation so far has been reminding people we need to mind our own business. We need to focus on our own lives and things we need to change within. We don't need to be focused on what other people are doing so much. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all bossy there.
No, it makes sense. Like there's a couple of sayings, but you change the animals out. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yes.
Or not my pig, not my farm. And those are like that's a mantra that I've adopted, because you know, like you sit there and you observe things, and like I'm talking about myself, and you know, and it can be maddening if you sit there and you observe it, but then it's like, wait a minute, how is this even any of my business? It's not. Move on.
Yep, it sure makes life easier.
It
So our,
does. It does.
so our sex, whether we're male or female, is determined by our genetics, XX or XY, but our gender is how we see ourselves. Sex is a physical designation based on our genitalia at birth, whereas gender is a social designation. Gender does not mean sex. And this is where there's so much confusion. People think gender means sex and sex means gender. No, they're two completely different things. One is biological and the other one is social. And we have a right to determine how we're viewed, how we present. And again, does it make that much difference? What matters to me is whether someone's a good person or not, whether I can trust them, whether they're spreading love and peace or contentiousness, you know? That's what to me is more important, but then that's just how I see it. So if we feel at our best with one or the other extreme of gender designation, and this matches our genitalia, then we're located at one of the two poles on a gender nubby ball. So again, the nubby ball, you have a north pole and a south pole, right? It's just a tool for analysis. The equator would represent androgyny. And just to be clear, if you're comfortable calling yourself a man and you have a penis, you would be located at the south pole of a nubby ball. And if you're comfortable calling yourself female and you have a vagina, then you would be located at the north pole of a nubby ball. But how many nubs are there on a nubby ball? Infinite. So we could be anywhere on that nubby ball if that's what suits us. And if that's how we want to present ourselves. So as you've learned from step 9, all things can be analyzed with a nubby ball tool. There are infinite possibilities of where our authentic selves and gender identity may be located on the nubby ball. Most of us fall somewhere between the two poles of extreme because we know we share some masculine qualities and some that are considered more feminine. Realizing this gives us enormous freedom to express as the unique individuals we truly are and not as gender stereotypes. So I want to tell you a funny story. So I was born, my family is from here in Alberta, but my mom, she went to the West Coast, and we were born and raised on the West Coast, very different way of life. And we were raised in cities. And our relatives here in Alberta are farm people. And when I saw my aunties, I thought all my aunties were lesbians because they all had the plaid jackets and the work pants and the work gloves and the short hair. Well, that's because they were out mucking out the stables and milking the cows and skinning the chickens. They had a completely different way of life. And to dress like one of the city girls would be ridiculous. And then I realized that there is huge diversity in the way people dress, even just for practical reasons. So I thought that was kind of funny. Not funny because of the way they are, but funny because of my own beliefs and attitudes and what I had been exposed to.
Yep.
So the dictionary definition of transgender, it's an adjective. Transgender is a catch-all term used to describe people who do not fit the strict gender polar dichotomy of male and female. The transgender designation includes so many different ways of being that it's beyond the scope of this primer. Do some research if the topic interests you. There is plenty of information out there regarding gender diversity. Regardless of our genetics, there are many common things that affect the location of our genitalia at birth and our gender preference as adults. So most people do not know this information, but I think it's pretty critical to add it. So some common chemicals affect the sperm or the egg prior to fertilization, resulting in people being born with XXY or XYY or XXX genetics. And this affects prenatal development and the location of their external genitalia. And many common chemicals affect the prenatal development, resulting in a mismatch between the genetics and the position of the genitalia at birth. So things like androgens, and androgens are commonly found in pesticides and insecticides. And as you will learn in step 5, much of our food supply has been contaminated with pesticides and insecticides. Then there's toxins like those found in cleaning products and solvents. So a lot of people who have industrial jobs come in contact with cleaning products and solvents. That produces toxins that have an effect on an unborn baby. Other contaminants like those found in pharmaceuticals. So a lot of people do not realize that pharmaceutical pills, they are synthetic, they are not natural, they don't come from the earth, they're created in a lab, and they can have a tremendous effect on the developing fetus. And even things like inadequate nutrition are only some of the contributing factors. And this has led to an interesting result. Babies are sometimes born with what they call ambiguous genitalia. It's estimated in 1 in every 200 births. It is still the standard medical practice to surgically turn all intersex babies into the appearance of females. And this often results in gender confusion and gender dysphoria in adulthood. So if you were born with male genetics and you've got the wiring to be, classified as a male or to be a boy, and you had ambiguous genitalia at birth, and the doctor turned you into a girl and you weren't comfortable with it, you might have all kinds of confusion as you're growing up because you don't feel a fit between the gender that's been assigned to you or the sex that's been assigned to you and what you authentically are. And there was one really famous case where there was twin boys born, and the parents decided to have them circumcised, and something went terribly wrong with one of the boys, and the doctor accidentally removed his penis. So they decided that they would just turn him into a little girl, and he was raised as a little girl, but he always knew that he was not a girl. And it's, when he was later in life, he ended up taking hormones and becoming a guy again. Of course, the missing parts, of course, can't be replaced, but I'm just saying that it's been proven that people often are born and they're not what they've been assigned. And so I think it's important for people to decide for themselves who and what they are. Those on the gender continuum who wish to alter or disguise the appearance of their primary sex characteristics, which would be whether you have a penis or a vagina, or secondary sex characteristics, like whether you have a beard or whether you have breasts. People that want to alter that along with behavior, either temporarily or permanently, are called transsexual. And transsexual lifestyles could include cross-dresser. Now, people who cross-dress, they do it for comfort. They just do it for comfort. It doesn't alter how they view themselves or the gender they've been, or I should say the sexual designation they've been assigned. It's just something that makes them feel good. Then there's drag queen or drag king. And this is done for entertainment. So something that's thrown a lot of confusion into the social reality is drag queen story hour. Now, I'm not getting into gender politics here on whether that's right or wrong. I'm staying out of it. But what I do want to say is that drag king and drag queen is entertainment. It's usually done by sometimes straight, but often gay men, or sometimes straight or often lesbian women. And they cross-dress, and it's only for the show. The rest of the time, they present as the sex they were born with. Then there is transvestites, and transvestites will dress up as the opposite sex, but they do it for sexual satisfaction. It's something they need to do in order to experience sexual satisfaction. It's not something they just do every day or present as on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, there's fetish, which is from the kink community. And believe me, that's a whole show in itself, but we're not going to get into that during the scope of this primer. But there are people who will basically cross-dress because it's a fetish or a kinky thing that they like to do. So there's many different reasons why people will present as the sex they're not born as, and a lot of it is now being totally confused in the social reality as being, transgender and wanting to have a sex change. It's got nothing to do with that. Now, a transsexual person who wishes to permanently change their gender is commonly called F to M, female to male or trans man, and M to F, male to female or trans woman. And these people are also called transgender. Usually, behavior modification and gender resocialization is required before gender reassignment surgery is possible in an adult. So those who are actually looking for gender reassignment surgery are way small in the minority. I mean, it does happen, but it's very small, a small minority. Most people are all kinds of different reasons why they want to present as the opposite sex. And it's interesting to note that being gay, lesbian, or bisexual has little to do with gender identity. This is a whole different discussion regarding ways of loving and erotic desire. I personally know trans women who partner with men, and I know other trans women who partner with women. And the same is true for trans men. I also know of trans men who partner with trans women, trans men who partner with trans men, and trans women who partner with trans women. So basically, it could be, there is no rule. There is no rule at all. And some people self-identify as pansexual or pangender. Pansexual people are simply attracted to certain people regardless of their gender designation and have the ability to become attracted to men, women, trans women, and those between the gender opposites. So basically, they just fall in love with another human being, like one soul falls in love with another soul. And they don't seem to have a preference on what their physical body looks like or presents as. It's often more intellectual and more emotional. And pangender individuals do not see themselves strictly as male or female, but they recognize they have traits from both categories. And they often present as androgynous or as something completely outside of the box. So as you get going with your nubby ball, there'll be many people who will go, well, wait a minute, I don't fall into the North Pole or the South Pole. I'm somewhere else on the nubby ball. And as time goes by, they might even change position within that whole context. And there's plenty of information easily available for those who might want to know more about gender or sexuality. Do you folks have anything you'd like to add or questions?
Ray was saying he was getting a little confused, and I said at the end of the day, you're gonna love who you're gonna love.
Yeah. And I also want to say that if someone is pansexual, it doesn't mean they're chasing after every different kind of people. They just happen to fall in love with who they fall in love with, or they just happen to be attracted to someone that they're attracted to. And it just happens that way. It's not like they purposely want to go out and say have sex with all these different classifications of gender. Well, some do, but mostly not.
I would think like somebody that's they're being true to themselves. Like that's beautiful. They've like if somebody feels that way, and they act like they power through, and that's how they live their life, they're being true to themselves. That's beautiful.
Yep. Like they used to have, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have people that they used to call metrosexuals, which were straight men that like to wear a little bit of eyeliner or a
Yep.
little bit of lipstick, like there's so much diversity on how we can present, and people often experiment, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. You can be who and what you want to be. I mean, I think the focus is on soul evolution and becoming a good person and becoming the change we want to see in the world. To me, that's the really important part. And pangender, there are days where I don't feel particularly feminine. I don't feel particularly like the stereotype of being a woman. Sometimes I want to wear plaid and jeans and men's work boots, and that's how I'm feeling in that day. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, yeah, basically, you said it right, Spinja. You can be who you want to be, and you can love who you want to love. And really, it's that simple.
Yeah, and on the polar opposite of you there, Karen, there's days I just want to curl up in a house couch and watch girl movies. So whatever.
There you go. I know lots of guys that like to wear. I knew a guy who his mother passed away, and she had a big fluffy robe that she used to wear, and he used to like to curl up in her robe and watch movies that his mom loved, and it helped him to feel close to his mom. Like, you know what I mean? Really, if we just mind our own business and let people be, I think that's really what's important here. Not trying to force my ideology on anybody.
No.
Ray, did you have any questions?
I was just like more on that. I was just remembering when I was younger, like 4 or 5-ish, I think, Spinja would like put nail polish on my nails and stuff too. So like I see what you're talking about.
He was curious. He asked, like, okay, you want to experience this? Then
I can remember putting nail polish on my son's toes, and I was still married at the time, and my husband was so upset. And in my day, we'd get a spanking if the boys tried to play with Barbie dolls. They get a spanking. So, to me, yeah. And besides, we don't have control over other people. They just go underground with it if we don't let them do what they want to do anyway, right? So, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of it. Actually, I get a kick out of a lot of ways that people present. What I don't like is when people tell other people what they got to accept and what they got to do, So if you're the kind of person where you are on the north or the south pole of the nubby ball and your genitalia matches your designation, and that's how you want to live, and you want to have a heterosexual vanilla lifestyle, then more power to you. No one's telling you can't. So I just think that people need to work on themselves. That's really the big thing here.
This is taking me back. You're helping me unlock some more memories. So I remember one Christmas, I think Ray might have been maybe 2 or 3. I was looking for ideas on what to get him, and I think even my mom came up with the idea about a play kitchen.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. And anyway, we ended up getting him a bakery.
Yes.
But it still had everything. And I actually have videos of him. He would go and bake something in his bakery, and then he would line his cars up and give them like donuts and cakes and like the stuff that he made at his bakery.
I don't remember that.
And look who's making bread today. It's awesome. So let's step out of the gender diversity realm and back into the original step 7 lesson. Once you consider male-female balancing techniques, you can expand your awareness of who you really are, cast off the gender stereotypes, and access your full potential. Now you can create your own unique gender preferences, Mix it up a bit until you find that which fits your true self, and feel free to change this as you evolve. Knowledge is power, and personal knowledge is personal power. Be all that you desire to be, and on your own terms. So, yeah. And then I have 2 images on this page for those of you who are listening on audio. Break the chains that bind you. It's you. It's always been you. We're not here to live for other people and their expectations. So on the primer, I have a page that with a link that takes you directly to the Step 7 videos. This concludes the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0 Advanced Training for Healers and Alternative Health Practitioners. Step 7 Orange, develop new core beliefs and male-female energy balance. Please feel free to contact me for more information and for assistance with your self-care program. I'm grateful for all the forces that assist me with the production of this free 9-step online course. Oops, wrong direction. And so I do recommend that you go in and watch the video tutorial. And then after that, jump into step 6 yellow, total detoxification. So that's split into 3 parts. Part 1 is external detoxification. Part 2 is internal, and part 3 is emotional. And I would say this is one of the most difficult aspects of this program. So up until now, it was about opening your mind and freeing your mind. And now we're going to get into detoxifying the body. And it will be a bit of a shock to some of you when you realize how much of the products we're using, the so-called foods we're eating, are actually toxic. And, there's no point in being involved in a detox program once a year and filling your body and your life with toxic material the rest of the year. Really, we need to wake up to the fact that I think there is a warfare going on against humanity, and we need to realize that we've been duped and we've been poisoned, and it's up to us to detoxify ourselves so that we can be, be more comfortable in our own skin, number 1, and be able to think clearly, number 2, and be able to have a rich spiritual life, number 3. So for those who want to contact me, my name is Karen Holton. I'm a holistic wellness coach and a talk show host. And you can find me on my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton, healthcoach.com. And I'm on all kinds of social media platforms at Karen Holton TV. And you can email me at quantumhealthnow@gmail.com. Again, if you purchase the PDF, you'll have all the links to all my free resources. And that's it for the lesson. So yeah, it's quite a lesson. Like I was really torn as to whether or not I wanted to present all of this information. But I thought, I think people could use an explanation because there's so much confusion. And then different sides are kind of warring with each other, and it's just adding to the discontent. And I'm trying to bring harmony and peace into people's lives and refocus people on what's important. What's important is how we do business within our own realm, and sticking to that realm and taking care of it.
I really appreciated this conversation and this lesson because and again, you helped me find the words, because I knew that there was real people behind it, but what are like what media has done, government has done in regards to this issue, they have just weaponized it, and they're putting things out that, I'll be blunt, they make people close their minds.
Oh yeah.
Because the individuals that are representing this group of people are not helpful to their cause. And I was like, when I listened to like you uploaded step 7, and I listened to it at work, and I'm like, oh wow, like I am really excited to listen to this and learn, because you're coming at it from a neutral matter of fact, like this is the way it is, this isn't, this causes somebody to feel and be offended and blah blah blah. No, forget that stuff. You went right down to the bare bones. And when I heard that, I'm like, Ray needs to hear this, because I don't know, like, we haven't really talked a whole lot about what's being presented in school, but if you know, you know. And so I am really grateful for this opportunity, and I hope that it's helped him open his mind and see things from a different perspective as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely giving
I
me
hope
like a
I hope
new.
so. Sorry, I hope so too. I think one of the biggest challenges we're facing in modern society is all the division. So,
Yes.
if it isn't what color we are, it's whether or not we're gay or straight, and if it isn't that, it's whether we're trans or not. Whether we're of this religion or that religion, whether we're this nationality or that nationality. And it just goes on and on and on. And so as long as everything's percolating in this big boiling mess, people are not improving themselves, they're not getting healthy, they're not experiencing peace. And we talked earlier on your show, Dawn. I recommend all the folks go over, the link will be below, and check out your channel and watch some of your shows. But as we were talking earlier today, people are really having high levels of discontent. They're not physically feeling good. They're not feeling good mentally. A lot feel like we're modern day slaves, which a lot of people are. And so we're looking for escape. Escapism can be all kinds of things, but that's where addictions come in and all kinds of problems. And, people are just warring against each other, and it isn't helping. It isn't helping anything. And we need, as human beings, we need to make the difference that we want to see in this world. I have ET contact. My ET friends are not coming to save us. They know that we have the potential to fix our own problems, and we can, but we need to take a rational stand before we can do that. And so the next 3 steps are going to help people to help change their bodies so they can be really comfortable. I'm not kidding. There is no greater gift than to just relax into a comfy chair and feel so good. I did not know I could feel like this. To feel that good in my own skin, and to have my mind peaceful and calm, and to just sit there and just enjoy doing nothing and thinking nothing, no phone, no nothing. And it just feels so good. And I want other people to have that too.
Yeah. Just quickly back to what you were saying about the dissension among the community and the world and the entire planet. It goes even into the like micro macro, like even the paranormal communities, or the like, if you're not this type of SSP, you're wrong, or you're a liar, or if you don't believe in this kind of like it's just all done. You guys wonder why there's no disclosure and no understanding. It's because we don't listen to each other. Everybody has some of it. Stop trying to be right and just listen to what the other guy is saying, because they're probably a little bit right too, just as much as you are. You have to put all of this stuff together. I don't care if it's the paranormal universe, the podcast universe, the universe. Everybody needs to listen to everybody, or we're never going to get it.
Yep. We need to throw them a nubby ball. There was a science fiction movie, I think it was Hitchhiker's Guide. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy had a point of view gun. And as soon as they shot the other person with the point of view gun, the other person realized their point of view instantly. It's a point of view gun, and that's sort of a little bit what the nubby ball is, and yeah. So, and the thing is that there's the concept of the universal soldier. There is no war if we choose not to take up arms. If we choose to go, no, we're going to settle this rationally, or get a boxing match and send the world leaders into the boxing match
And
to
I
duke it out instead of using all the people, you know. So sorry, I'm a bit of an old hippie that way, but
Oh no, we agree. Well, Ray just said cage match. Let's see it.
yeah. Yeah. Make our and you know what? I think if our leaders were into heavy training, they'd be into nutrition and they'd be a lot healthier and they'd make better decisions. You know, there's all kinds of ways we can solve this. You know, but anyway, I won't mention any names like the industrial military complex. So yeah, so that's about it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, just like and subscribe to all of our channels. Canadian Spinja was actually baking a cake during the filming of our show, so that'll be coming up in the next couple of days.
Nice.
All of our content is available on March 4th Productions on YouTube and Rumble. And yeah, like and subscribe.
Yep, and the links are below. And another thing too, I just want to add is that on our journey towards better eating, I gotta say, homemade is 1,000 times better for you than store-bought, and 1,000 times better than just getting it out of a mix box. It is just switching to homemade is going to improve your health so much. Ray, did you?
Well, I don't remember how we got it, but like we got like a box of a pancake mix and like a few things of Kraft dinner, and like nobody really wanted them, so I just kind of did it for breakfast, and I called them pancakes and Kraft dinner.
You know, my kids and I, we relied on the food bank for a number of years. We relied on the food bank, and that's what we got, all that processed crap. And we all put on tons and tons of weight. We were so unhealthy, and the kids didn't do very well at school. And you know, easier is not better. And I know people are so burnt out from having to work all day, and you know, they just don't have much time to themselves. But really, it starts within, and just make little changes, and gradually get to where we want to go. So yes, I recommend your podcast, Spinja, for everybody who wants to learn how to do the real thing. And it's fun too, and it's rewarding, and it tastes so much better. And then you don't want to eat the crap anymore. So I guess that's it for today. I want to thank everybody and the viewers and the listeners, and we'll see you next time for step 6, part 1. Hang on to your hats. Bye-bye, everybody.
Lion only makes you hurt. Denying only makes it worse. Love and surrender seem the fastest way to bring an end to bitter, painful days. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil, and you will thrill to hear your calling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years, 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.